Welcome to You've Got This with Sarah Hamaker, a podcast to encourage and equip moms along their parenting journey. Join Sarah each week as she interviews dads and moms like you and discusses the joys, challenges, and rewards of raising kids.
Hi, and welcome to You've Got This. I'm Sarah Hamaker, and I'm so glad you joined me. Today I have Jacqueline Piccolo with me. She's an educator with a degree in psychology and elementary education. She's been in the field of education for more than 20 years, including many years as a kindergarten teacher. And she's also a parenting coach, and she's an older mom. So welcome.
Thank you.
And so do you mind sharing how old were you when you had your baby?
I was just about to turn 40 when I had my baby. I'm a cancer survivor, and they told me I could not have kids, so she is my surprise. But she's the best thing that ever happened to me.
And I think she said she was 3 now?
Yes, she just turned 3.5, and she's my three-nager. She thinks she's the show, so thank God I'm trained in John Rosemond Parenting Institute, because that's what keeps me calm and makes me be able to laugh at it. So.
Yeah, I found that the 3s were much harder than the 2s. The 2s,
I completely agree.
All 4 of my kids, the 2s were like, I think especially with my first one, I was like, what are you talking about? The 2s are great. And then she turned 3.
I think the 2s were great for us because we had John's approach, so we didn't have to deal with the tantrums because we knew how to shut those down.
Right.
I think the 3s are hard because all of a sudden she has a personality and it's not in line with how I was. So I have to try to get used to this little personality while still guiding her. Yes, she's in trouble at school with her. She goes to pre-K 3 now, and she doesn't want to rest at nap time, and it's mandatory. So she's clicking her mouth and slamming her feet down and thinks it's hilarious. So.
Oh, yes, of course. I think the starkest introduction to 3s was my youngest. I have, as many of my listeners know, I have 4 kids, 2 girls who are in high school now and 2 boys who are tweens. And when our youngest, I think it was on his birthday. I literally think it was on his birthday, his 3rd birthday. He wakes up, he comes out, I get him in the high chair, and he starts screaming. Just screaming for no reason. Didn't have a problem. Didn't want the food. And I was like, okay, hello 3s. It was just kind of funny, I think, that how different kids are. And maybe being an older mom, you were able to observe some of your friends maybe having kids or going through it before you. And I don't know, did you feel like you had any more wisdom being an older mom?
Well, I taught kindergarten, so as she's getting older, that's helping to be able to go with that. But I think I did fall into the trap of not realizing when you see your students' parents do it, you think, oh, well, I would do that so differently. But then when you actually have your own, you understand why they were at the supermarket by themselves. Because I was like, oh, don't they miss their child? Why aren't they with their child? And now I'm like, oh, I get to go to the supermarket by myself? What is this luxury? Yeah. So I understand. I think that being an older mom is hard in the fact that I literally spend way more time worried that I'm not going to be there or for her when she's older. And my friends that had kids at younger, more average American have a kid age, they don't have those same fears. I feel like I'm writing her a lot more letters of, for her future than they are because they do have that worry. And I think being a cancer survivor factors into that as well. But I think that it does give me, I think it's tied in with the parent coaching, but I think there's more of a confidence in my way. I did not allow Colby to see TV when she was younger, and I knew that even though it was a pain then, that I was doing myself a service for later, and I was able to kind of just put it off because I'd already done my 20s and 30s, and I didn't need to be out and about and doing those things, so I could just be home. I didn't feel that pressure. And now I do see the advantage that I put myself in by staying strong on that. And then I've had friends come to me later when they're going to have their second kid and say, you know what, I'm doing what you did. So I was able to kind of ride the waves of the mom's club pressures better because I knew that I was like focused on the long haul. Like, this is my miracle baby, and I'm not going to I don't know. I just didn't want to. I wanted to stay strong in what I knew that would be right in the long run, even though it doesn't always feel right then. It feels like I wish I could just put the TV on, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So I think
it's hard. It's hard to take that
pressure
long.
Is a little easier in your 40s.
Right, but I think what you said is so true. It's hard for us as moms to take that long view when in the short term we just want them to stop screaming.
Exactly.
But when we can focus on, this 3-year-old who one day, and the years do go by really, really fast. My oldest turned 16 this fall, and I'm just like, how did that happen? Literally. It's like, it really does go fast. But you want that 3-year-old is one day going to be 25, 30, and if you haven't helped her learn self-discipline and other character traits that, hardworking and those kind of things, who knows where she's going to be at.
And that's what I try. I tell her all the time, I just want you to be pretty on the inside. Because I think I've seen through the years that, you don't have to be the smartest or the most talented, but when you have those manners of that respect, that's what seems to carry people further in life. So thankfully, not that she's not smart and not that she's not doing well at all those things as well, but my focus is always that I want her to be pretty on the inside. So we work on that. And granted, I think it helps being an older mom. My daughter spent an entire school day being a chicken. Like, she did not come out of character. Even at lunch, she pecked her food. And, of course, I'm like the mom that's like, oh, great, I'm a parent coach, and I'm going to school to pick up my daughter who spent the day as a chicken. But, I also am older, and I just laugh it off. I'm like, okay, she's a chicken. What am I going to do?
As long as she's a well-behaved chicken.
Yep, she did all her work. She balked her manners, so.
That's hilarious. One of my kids was a cat for a while.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, she wanted to eat on the floor. I said, no, we're not going to eat on the floor. You can pretend to eat on the floor, but I'm not putting your plate on the floor.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I just wasn't going to go there. But I think your point about just be more relaxed around your kids. And
it's so funny because I'm not a relaxed person. I can be very nervous, and as a teacher, I was wanted to make sure everything was in line. But with Colby, my daughter, I'm much more relaxed than I was even as a teacher. So it's funny, and I do credit that to being an older mom. Even though it has its setbacks, that's one of the good parts, I think.
Right, and I liked your point about, helping your daughter, being more concerned about her behavior than on her performance. And it's one thing that we've always told our kids and continue to tell our kids is that they are not to be the reason their teacher cannot teach. They are not going to be misbehaving in the classroom so that their teacher does not teach. And I tell them, look, I don't care what you get on your grades. I care that you're doing the work, but I'm not obsessing about that. What I'm obsessing about, what's going to make me more upset, is if I get a note home from the teacher or a call or an email that says, such and such misbehaved today and disrupted the class, so I couldn't teach. That is so important. I
completely agree.
Yeah, and it's so important to me. And the other thing that we tell our kids is that, the actual grade is not that important to us. What's more important is that they try their best. And that if their teacher tells me that they got a C on something, but that they did the best they could, then I'm happy with that. However, if they get a C because they didn't turn in their work, that's a different story, right?
Right.
How come it's so hard for us as parents to kind of focus on those, like I said, those longer-term goals? Because our kids' grades aren't going to matter after high school.
I agree. And I graduated second in my college class, and that did absolutely nothing for me. And looking back, like, that's just not what I'm going to focus on with my daughter, because and I had the manners and whatever too, but I think that I think people get lost, and I see all these parents, because I've worked in schools constantly since I was 21 years old, and I'm in my 40s, so I've never missed a school year except the one where Kobe was born. And I see all the parents that are so obsessed with getting their kids the scholarships and the helping them with the homework and writing these nasty notes to teachers about what they think the teacher didn't do. And that's not what is going to help in the long run, because the teacher is there to support your child and help them grow, and making them the enemy when really it's just we all need to work together to help the child find their success, whatever it is. And it might not be what the parent wants the success to be. And there's so many kids that are so sad at school because they feel like they're letting their parents down. And I can see it. I'm in the high schools now because I need to not be around preschool and kindergartners all day when I have one at home.
For sure.
But I see that, and it breaks my heart. So I'm learning tips from these high schoolers now so that I can be better with my daughter when she's that age.
Right. And, having two high schoolers of my own, I have a ninth grader and a 10th grader. And, we're very clear. They pick their classes. They want to take advanced academic classes, AP classes, sure, just as long as they know it's all the work that's involved with it. But if they want to take just like for example, my last year with our ninth or now 10th grader, she didn't want to take honors biology. She didn't want to do a science fair project. I said, fine. We were like, fine. She's perfectly capable academically to take honors biology. She didn't want to do it. I'm not saying.
But you're showing her that you trust. Yeah, and that's showing her that you trust her decision. And if that impacts her later, then she knows that, she made that decision. It's not like it's going to change the whole course of her life, whether she took AP or not. So,
no, right, and that is so true. But it was funny because her biology teacher, and there was one or two of her friends were in her class, and they could have taken honors biology, but they chose to take general biology. And the teacher said, okay, girls, I am not going to sign, because they have to get their current science teacher to sign off on their next year's schedule. They're like, you girls need to be in honors chemistry. You're not going to take, general biology again. And so that was kind of his, pushing them, knowing what they were capable of. And they received it a lot, my daughter received a lot better than if we had been pushing her to take this. She kind of had to figure that out for herself.
And that's such a great lesson for when she's older and she's in college and afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So as an older mom, what do you think has been the hardest adjustment besides just the fact that, hey, I have a baby now, which is a huge adjustment?
Yeah, that's a huge adjustment. I think it's like being part of a whole nother world. I spent 40 years I was a teacher, so I was definitely around moms, but I didn't do any mom things. Like, I could just do whatever I wanted to on the weekend, and it generally didn't involve bounce houses or painting pumpkins or candy. So now you're part of this whole other world, and I have to say, in some ways, the mommy world is sad, and I wish it wasn't like this, is a very judgmental world. And I think that's hard, because when I was just like the, energetic background kindergarten teacher, people were super friendly, or I was off doing my own thing with whomever. But once I had a child, you kind of want to go to all these parenting events, and you want to go to all these childhood, touch attracts and whatever. And you realize that there's so many different philosophies of parenting, and everyone seems to think their way is the correct way. And so, for instance, I took my daughter to a kids farmers market in the area, and she was not behaving pretty on the inside. And so I gave her warnings, and then I took her out. But it was the only kids farmer's market of that year, so they only have one. And while I was carrying her out, like holding her straight out because she was trying to kick me and whatever, she was newly two at this time, a parent actually called me a monster. She said, I can't believe you're taking her out of the only children's fair. You're being a monster. And I just hit me so hard. And I said, she's not acting the way that I believe she can act. I was just holding her out. And literally people stopped me. And then my girlfriend that had been in the line with me, we were waiting to get faces painted when I pulled Colby out. My girlfriend said that people were saying things about me when I left. And I wasn't prepared at 40-something to be judged by my parenting. And, I make mistakes and I do things that I think are successful, but I don't judge the other parents on their parenting. If they ask me something, I'll give them my opinion, but I would never just unsolicited scream things out. So I kind of was surprised at how judgy. And I'd had a double mastectomy, so I couldn't breastfeed. So I was getting a lot of comments about breastfeeding and not breastfeeding when people would see me out and about with a bottle, but they didn't realize, I couldn't breastfeed. So I think we moms just need to be a lot nicer to each other. And maybe that's me being 40-something, looking back and just kind of seeing that this isn't really necessary. I mean, and I can't say I was always nice about it. There were times when people were super rude where I was like, you know what, I've had a double mastectomy, and then they don't know what to say. But
right.
I know. So I think that's been the hardest part for me, is trying to be part of all the childhood and town events that I wouldn't necessarily have gone to before, and not always. I wish we could all just get along.
No, and I wish that was true as well. I mean, I remember being pregnant with my third child and have perfect strangers see me out with my girls and go, "Oh, you're trying for a boy?" I'm like, "No, baby." And then when my two youngest are 19 months apart, and then when I was obviously pregnant with my fourth and had the three, I had strangers literally say, "Well, why are you having another one?" As if the fact that, I mean, and other, are they all yours? I mean, we got all kinds of, and I'm like, I only had 4 kids. I mean, I know people who have a lot more kids than I do. I can imagine what they get. And you're right, it's this kind of, it's almost as if I think we moms need to say these things because we don't feel secure in our own decisions, in our own parenting.
That's an excellent way to put it.
And that's just so sad. So, I mean, I'm the same. I try to encourage moms. I try to have mom, instead of saying those negative things, just to be like, you're doing a great job when I can. And I think if more of us shared those kind of encounters, we would maybe stop doing that. And then I'd share a lot about my own parenting foibles, the things that I did wrong, that didn't turn out right, or, whatever. Because we all have those stories, and the more that we stop pretending we're perfect, right, at this parenting, I think the better the world, at least the mom world, I think, can be. So, but I think that's about the end of our time, but thank you so much for joining me. Listeners, you've been listening to You've Got This. I'm your host, Sarah Hammaker. I have Jacqueline Piccolo with me, and we've been talking about all the joys of being moms and being an older mom as well. I hope you join me next week. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast of You've Got This with Sarah Hammaker. Sign up to receive notification of new podcasts and listen to previous editions at sarahhammaker.com. Until next time, remember, parenting might be hard sometimes, but don't worry, you've got this.